and that works very well. If you're having trouble with it, you can always take your hammer and beat tight against your stone. And here's the soft hammer, fills all those voids and makes the stencil stick very tight. But when you hammer it, it makes it a lot harder to peel your letters. And if it starts to pull up an area, just go ahead and push it down, and you can go to another spot in the letter and peel it out. For some reason, if your stencil's not cut all the way through, you need to set your knife deeper, more pressure on your stencil knife. If you've done that and you're having a lot of trouble, you can take your stencil knife and go around the outside of those lines and go ahead and cut it through, which will make it easy to peel your stencil out. And this process is called weeding. At this point, you have your letters out, you look at them, make sure everything's still straight, that you haven't moved anything. Then you want to take your hammer, and you want to beat your stencil very hard. At this point, we're ready to start the sandblast process into the stone. And while we're on the gluing process, if the stencil starts to raise when you're sandblasting, stop, because it will keep blowing underneath. Stop, peel that area back, glue the stone and glue the stencil, because now we'll have dust on it. Leave it propped up a little bit, let it dry, and then re-stick it and re-beat it down. And you'll be ready to go back to sandblasting. During the sandblast process, you're going to need these tools. You'll need your sandblaster, which is this, which is your sandblast generator. You'll need your air supply filter. You'll need your hood. This hooks up to your air compressor. Air goes into the hood. There's all information on that in your manuals. Now, as far as sandblasting, you'll need your gloves and a set of earplugs. When we get ready to sandblast, what you do is, it's very important, get your sand in your sandblast generator. This handle here turns your sand flow on and off. You have a dead man on your handle right here, which keeps the blast from coming out. However, you need this handle off. You turn off your pressure right here, cut the air supply coming into your sandblast, fill your sandblast tank up, pull this up when it's full. Do not look in here, because if air is leaking, it can blow sand and stuff in your eyes. It's good to wear safety goggles when you're doing this. Turn the air pressure on, that will hold this handle up. Now your tank, your generator is pressurized and ready for operation. At that point, hook up your air filter to your hood, get your hood on, your gloves. You'll need long sleeves and stuff so you don't get sandblasted. That covers your chest and stuff, but I always wear a long sleeve shirt and use the gloves, which I'm not going to do in a demonstration, so you can see what we're doing. At this point, we're ready to sandblast. A couple things that happen when you're sandblasting. Guys, and this is where your sand feed is. You pull the handle back, you turn on the sand flow, and I do this by standing here in front of the stone, and then I pull it on as I need to get my sand flow. A lot of people use way too much abrasive. And what happens when you do that is the abrasive going in hits the abrasive that's already in there coming back out. It looks like you're doing something, but you're just blowing abrasive up and making dust. So a small amount of abrasive, you'll learn that technique, and you will be able to sandblast very efficiently and quick. The next thing is 90 pounds of pressure is the optimum pressure for blasting. More pressure doesn't make it do it faster. What it does, it breaks your abrasive up, explodes, and it also burns your stencil. The distance you stay from your stone has to do with the size of the nozzle. Typically, I stay 3-4 to 5 inches away from the stencil. I start close, turn my sand flow on, and back up till it looks good. That's why you stay inside this border. Start in the middle. Once you do that, make sure you keep this nozzle perpendicular to your letter that you're cutting. If you go sideways, it'll try to blow the stencil off. So once you do that, you just pull the sand flow on, and you move in a pattern across, up and down, across, up and down. And the stencil will turn black, and you'll be able to see it through your mask. If the stencil starts to bubble, you're starting to burn it. Back off, or move faster, because you're either too close or you're staying in one place too long. The rubber stencil will resist the blast plenty of time to get your letters blasted. I like to blast everything to a nice concave round in boulders, depending on the stone. Some things, if it's polished surface, you can skin cut, just frost and paint, but it's best to cut them deep. If you're doing monuments and things of that nature, we like to take it to a true V, and it automatically will V because the sand hits and runs to the middle, and it'll come to a V while you're sandblasting. You don't have to shape that or do anything, it does it automatically for you. So that process right there pretty much takes care of your sandblasting. Burn stencil. If you do have the blow off during this process, definitely stop, and as I said before, re-glue both parts, let it dry, push it back down, re-hammer it, and you'll be ready to start sandblasting again. And that will take care of the sandblast process. The last thing we have to do is paint the stencil once it's been sandblasted. We've already painted this, but I'll go through the process. It's very simple. One thing we do when we sandblast also, the extra stencil that we'd cut away and save, if there's not enough space you're concerned about when you're painting things, you can take some of your glue, your stencil glue, and run around and then glue your stencils, your extra stencil on, as we did here. The tools you'll need to paint will be your aeromite spray gun is one of the first things, your hose, your regulator. Some of the plastic containers are optional. We send them, I use them, I don't like the glass one. I usually take it off, throw it away because inevitably it'll get broke. The plastic ones don't. The paint is lithochrome. It's a specially formulated stone paint. That's what we want to use. You have to also have the solvent by lithochrome. It cuts the paint. And the glue, when we pull the stencil off, we use citrus remover. And you have a spray bottle, you put it in there, and you spray it on it. So I'll go through the process of how we do this. You take your aeromite spray gun first. And of course we take that and get rid of it. And what we do is we take the black paint, and there's many colors of paint you can get, but full spectrum from lithochrome, from gold to whatever you want to use. We put the black paint in the container, put it on our aeromite spray gun, and then you always have to regulate the pressure for the aeromite gun. If you use too much pressure, it's blowing so much air that the paint doesn't work well. 45 psi is a very good pressure to run it. So set your regulator off your main air line and make sure you use clean, dry air. You don't want to be mixing water in with your paint. So once we do that, we set it, we come over here and it's got a button on top, and you can adjust this button here up and down for more or less spray and paint. And then you just come in and you spray the letters, and make sure you go to all the different angles and everything, down and up and down, and get it sprayed good. Before you do paint though, you want to make sure to take your blow gun and blow that out to make sure there's no dust in there. If there's dust left in there, there's a good possibility the paint's going to peel out. So once you've got it painted, then you take your aeromite gun, because these will plug up very easy. Take this off, take your other bottle, fill it with the litho solvent, put it on, spray the gun out until it's sprayed on something like a sheet or something, off to the side on the stencil, and when you see it shooting clear, then you know you've cleaned your gun out. If the gun plugs up, just disassemble it, put it in a small pan of the solvent, clean all the parts, put it back together, and it's good to go. These guns work and work and work. So now that we've went through that, the painting process, we can go to peeling the stencil off, and this glue, paint dries very, very fast. So all you have to do is just grab your stencil and pull it off. And peel all the insides of the letters. I typically use my stencil knife for this, but you can see we've got a nice lettered boulder already. Then what you do is you take your citrus remover, put it in your spray bottle, spray the rock, leave it set for a while. There's instructions on here how to do it, and then spray it again after a while. Take a nylon brush if necessary Has to be nylon. If you use a wire